Hey guys, it's Dudes here, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys the full guide to Six Flags Great Adventures 2024 Fright Fest Extreme. I do want to apologize that this will end up taking so long to come out. I was originally waiting for all of the mazes to be open. That only just recently happened this past weekend, and I wanted to wait until I was able to experience it, so I could give you guys the proper tips and tricks for this year's Fright Fest, because it is a little different than it has been in years past. And I want to make sure you guys know exactly what you're getting into before you go. That way you can get as much done as you possibly can. So let's start off with admission, because I know this has been a question I've gotten many times. So the park has changed the way admission works now. Originally for this year, you had to buy a separate Fright Fest ticket, kind of like how Halloween Horror Nights works, where the daytime admission was separate from nighttime admission, but that has changed now. So now all you need to do is buy one ticket for the day. They changed it because it just got a little too complicated. So now, even with a daily ticket, any season pass, you can get in, except for the blackout dates with certain passes. I believe the gold pass from 2024 has some blackout dates, but otherwise you'll be able to go no problem. But you do still need to pay for the mazes. There's only a couple tiers of passes that get the mazes for free. Diamond Elite VIP, Diamond Elite, and Legacy Diamond. Those three of the Legacy memberships, they get mazes for free, as well as the 2025 Prestige Pass / membership, that also gets mazes for free this year. And the way you're going to get those mazes, there's a variety of locations in the park. More than likely, when you go in, you'll find one right near the entrance. When I was there on a Friday night and they open at 6, which is right when Fright Fest starts, they had a group of team members right out front with scanners. They're scanning your pass, then giving you the wristband. There's also other shops you can go to get your maze pass as well. I saw massive lines at a lot of these shops at the start of Fright Fest on a Friday night, so keep that in mind. You're probably going to want to go get your maze pass as soon as possible. I know there's a lot of locations throughout the park that accept them. I have it on the screen now. I would highly recommend just getting it as fast as you can. And then when you do this, of course, depending on the day you go, if you're there on a Thursday or Friday night when the park opens at 6, you'll be able to go to the mazes pretty quickly and start getting through them. I highly recommend you do them early. The ones you're going to want to do first in terms of an experience standpoint are probably going to be the ones that are fully indoor. Of course, they all are covered this year, but not all of them are fully indoor. Of course, that also means that some of these you may want to wait till later to get the proper experience, but you're going to be waiting in a really long line for them. As I expected, certain ones like Stranger Things are by far the most popular. I heard people on a Saturday night saying they were waiting in a 2-hour line for Stranger Things, and that is pretty insane, I'm not going to lie. So I would highly recommend hitting that one early. A nice route you can do if you want to hit some of these ones early, you can start by going to the right side of the park, walk up that pathway that is underneath Flash. You could do Asylum and Saw first. They're right next to each other in the catering area, right across from Justice League, next to Showcase Theater and Cyborg. Then you can loop around and hit Stranger Things while you're walking towards Batman. It's right there, kind of next to Dark Knight and Wonder Woman. You can hit that really quickly. Then you're going to move along and you can probably hit Reflections, the Witch's Reflections, which is right across from Giant Wheel. And those are the only 4 mazes on that side of the park. Of course, like I said, you're going to want to wait to do some of the ones that are fully, or not fully indoor, rather, later. And thankfully, the ones I listed are pretty good to do early in the day. Stranger Things isn't really the scariest, so it doesn't really matter that you might have a little bit of light seeping through. But for others like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'd highly recommend waiting till later to do those, because that one in particular does have a scene that is partially outdoors, and going when it's still light out does kind of ruin the scene a little bit, so I'd recommend waiting till later for that one. So if you do follow that route I just gave out, so then you can kind of do whatever you want really. I would recommend going up to the boardwalk and hitting Army of the Dead and Conjuring. Those ones are going to be pretty popular as well. They're both fully indoors as well. Army of the Dead is next to Slingshot, right where the Manor and Fears used to be, and then Conjuring is in the same spot it was last year, right next to Superman and Green Lantern. Conjuring probably get a lot of crowds, not only because of IP name recognition, but also because of the fact that it's right next to Superman, which is now open, so people are typically going to be flocking over there for that attraction, and then they're probably going to hit Conjuring as well. And then after that, you just have 3 mazes left. You have Big Top Terror, which is in the same spot it's always been in that red tent. I didn't really see too brutal of a line throughout the night for that one, so you can probably hit that at your leisure whenever. But I would recommend doing, after doing the 2 ones on the boardwalk, being Conjuring and Army of the Dead, you can go into the Golden Kingdom, and I would do Texas Chainsaw Massacre first, because if you guys are familiar with the Wild Walkway, the entrance to Texas Chainsaw is right on that path, And when you go through it, you wind up exiting on that new Ka Toro shortcut pathway. And when you turn right, you're pretty much right there at Trick or Treat's entrance, which is next to El Toro. Trick or Treat is another one you can hit at any time of day because it is fully indoors, so there's never going to be any light seeping in. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, though, is the one where I found the time of day makes the biggest difference with the maze. Also keep in mind, when you go earlier in the day to some of these mazes, not all of the actors have gotten there yet for their shift, so you may not get the full scare experience that you would get if you, say, waited till like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, but that also means the lines are going to be way longer. And for those of you who may ask about getting Express Pass, it really depends on the way you're going to be doing your day. If you're going on a Saturday night, yeah, you're going to probably want Express Pass. But when I was there on a Friday night, I noticed that there were actually more people with the Express Pass than there were with the Standard Pass, which wound up making the lines kind of act a little strange. So do keep that in mind. If you're going on a Thursday or Friday night, obviously crowds are not going to be as much as they would be on a Saturday night. And Sunday night's kind of hit or miss. I've noticed it's been a little more crowded than the Fridays and Thursdays, rather, closer to the Saturday crowd level. So if you want the lowest crowd experience, you're going to go for a Thursday or Friday night, definitely. Thursday nights are probably going to be the weakest in terms of scares because they don't have as many scare actors on shift. That, of course, is because there's a lot of high schoolers that wind up working there and they can't stay that late on a Thursday night. So you're not going to have the same level of scares on a Thursday night as you would on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, but you're still going to get a really good experience and with much less crowds, which is really important. That doesn't mean it's going to be completely empty because I have seen Thursday nights where it's been pretty busy, but it's going to be much better than going on a Saturday night. Honestly, I would probably avoid going on a Saturday night if you're looking to actually get on stuff because the park has been slammed on Saturday nights, which it always is during Fright Fest, and I have noticed that the hours have been changing ever so slightly every night. So Fridays were originally supposed to be open till 12, Saturdays till 1, and Sundays, I believe, 11. And I noticed they recently have been starting to shift all of that back an hour, so Saturdays close at 12, Fridays 11, Sundays 10. I'm not sure if they're doing like a soft close where they close all the rides and haunted mazes at that time or close the lines for them at that time and then let the lines finish through the night. So just keep that in mind. Keep checking the app or the website for the posted operating hours while you're at the park because they may change. Just keep that in mind. They are still figuring out exactly how they want to do this since all the mazes did just open this past weekend and that's when they got the influx of crowds. But other than that, I highly recommend checking out a lot of the other stuff Fright Fest has to offer. You have Unleashed, which is the great show inside of the Showcase Theater. You have Dead Man's Party, which is a classic, right next to Wonder Woman and the Batman Stunt Arena. You also have Blade Drummers, which is a really, really well done show with some great instrumentals. There's a lot of great stuff going on. There's also the Freak Show right across from Twister and Army of the Dead. Fright Fest is really, really cool this year, and there's also a lot of scare zones that you may not wind up seeing because of where these haunted mazes are situated. I highly recommend walking down to the Jersey Devil area in the Pine Barrens because they have that whole plaza set up for Fright Fest as a really good scare zone. There's also a scare zone right next to Buccaneer and Swashbuckler down past Joker. There's another one up by the fountain as usual. There's another one down in the western area by Log Flume, Best of the West, Monterey Mine Train, all of that. And of course, you have the Carnival Land inside of Boardwalk, but it's not the entirety of Boardwalk. It's just one lane in the Boardwalk. Highly recommend walking through that. But other than that, that should be pretty much everything you need to know about Fright Fest. Get there really early if you're going on a Thursday or a Friday night. If the park opens at 6, I'd try to be there probably a half hour early because when I was there on a Friday night, they started letting people in at 5:42, which is a full like 18 minutes before park opens. That way they could get you your maze passes a little quicker. Of course, they were holding you at the fountain so you couldn't go any further, but it was still nice to get going through there because the line at the ticket area can get really, really long. So I highly recommend getting there early to beat the crowds. Of course, if you're going on a Saturday or a Sunday when the park is open prior, I'd recommend going in the morning because usually in the morning there's not that many people there, so you can get on all the other attractions at the park that aren't Fright Fest related, and then once it gets to 6 o'clock, you can try to get as many of the Fright Fest mazes done as possible. Like I said though, on a weekend like that, it's not going to be super easy. But if you guys have any other lingering questions about Fright Fest Extreme 2024 at Six Flags Great Adventure, leave them down in the comments. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye, guys.